Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you joining us from different parts of the world. A warm welcome to the very first webinar in the AI Learning Lab webinar series organized by the Futures of Higher Education and Artificial Intelligence Action Group. This action group is co-led by the United Nations University and the UNESCO International Institute for Higher Education, as part of the UN Higher Education Sustainability Initiative, or HESI. My name is Jerome from the United Nations University, and I'm delighted to be your host for today. Our theme for this inaugural session is Harnessing AI for Smarter, Sustainable University Management. We will explore how artificial intelligence can transform university management, streamline administrative functions, and support strategic planning for higher education leaders. But before we dive into the presentations, let me just share a few quick housekeeping notes. First, please keep your microphones muted throughout the session to avoid any background noise. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to send them via chat. We will address them during the interactive exchange segment at the end. Please also note that this webinar is being recorded and will be made publicly available on the UN HESI website. And finally, we value your feedback at the end of the session. Please take a moment to complete our short survey to help us improve future webinars. To officially kick off today's session, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jong-Wee Park, Head of Innovation in Education at UNU-IAS, who will deliver the welcoming remarks. Dr. Park, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jerome, for your nice introduction. Good evening from Tokyo. And thank you very much for joining us today at this inaugural webinar of our AI Learning Lab series. On behalf of United Nations University Institute for the Advanced Study of Sustainability, UNU-IAS, and our partner, UNU-ALSA, International Institute for the Higher Education, I'm absolutely delighted and excited to welcome you all here today. The AI Learning Lab webinar series is created by this wonderful action group on AI and futures of higher education, as Jerome just mentioned, under the framework of a Higher Education Sustainability Initiative, which is called HESI. This action group was launched last year, July, and it consists of 4 implementation teams that are working on the key 4 thematic areas of AI in higher education, namely AI in teaching and learning, AI in research and development, AI for inclusivity and ethics, and finally, AI in university management and administration. And I would like to congratulate this AI in university management and administration team to organize and kick off the first webinar of this action group. So to prepare this welcoming remark today, I tried to think one word that captures our current moment with AI in higher education. And let me ask you the same question. What comes to your mind when you think about AI in higher education? Can you fire it into chat? What comes to your mind when you think about AI in higher education? ChatGPT. Okay, to me, it is dilemma, the word dilemma. And I think the initial dilemma of whether to use AI or not to use is really over. The real dilemma now we are facing is how to embrace the brighter side of this technology for the futures of higher education we want, while being aware of the darker side of the associated risks and minimize them. This webinar is exactly to serve that purpose, to showcase some of the brighter side of AI for more effective university management using AI. So we are very proud and proudly presenting 3 cases from our action group, including AI to forecast students at risk, ethical AI agent applications, and human-centered AI for institutional sustainability. I would like to again thank and congratulate this action group for this wonderful initiative under the leadership of Professor Gunther Saunders. I also would like to ask the audience today to stay tuned for 3 more AI Learning Lab series webinars for the rest of this year. In closing, I would like to reaffirm UN University's commitment to promoting the path to sustainable development with ethical, responsible, and just use of AI. And I'm sure all of you here today will join the force with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jongwei, for the welcome remarks. Now, to set the stage for today's discussion, we will begin with a framing presentation. Professor Gunther Saunders, Director of Digital Capability Development and AI Leadership at the University of Westminster, will give a talk on human-centered approaches to AI in university management. Please join me in giving Professor Saunders a warm virtual round of applause.
Thank you very much, Jerome. I'm just going to share my screen. If you could tell me if that's okay. Can you see my first slide okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. It's just gone past midday in London. I'm in London. And I am really pleased to be here with you. I am the chair of the AI in University Management and Administration group. I'm also a professor at the University of Westminster, where I work. I've been in higher education, as you may be able to tell from my face, for a very long time, over 20 years as a teacher, and roughly about the same amount of time now working in professional services, where my role for many years has been to help people engage with technology and make the best of technology in their context, and that includes now making the best of generative AI. If I had to sum up what the AI is, I think, for, we are seeking to try and find ways and good practice to share where AI can support people in their roles within universities, and particularly in roles that are responsible for the organization and management that goes on around the classroom teaching. So I wanted just to, I won't repeat what Junwei has said, but we are part of the Futures of Higher Education and AI Action Group. We're one of 4 groups exploring AI in higher education. Our main role really is to explore, to shape, and to share practices in university management and administration. Always with an eye on the sustainable development of higher education institutions, but also, not on the slide, but also really important, always in our heads, how can this technology help people, whatever they do within the university environment and beyond? There are 4 focus areas, I think it's safe to say, currently in the work of the group. One is enhancing operational and strategic effectiveness. So making processes and procedures in universities smoother, more effective, more efficient. The second one is supporting teaching and learning management. So that's all those kind of administrative management operations that go on around the teaching that happens inside of classrooms and supports that teaching and supports academic teachers. We've also got an eye on fostering community engagement, because universities are very important channels to wider society. So universities generally do not, but it's really critical, I think, currently for us not to be working in isolation and to be sharing and helping to educate wider society in the pros and cons of this technology that has come through in recent years. And then I've mentioned this before, one of our focus areas is how can we advance sustainability? How can we make what we do future-proof as best we can? I don't think it's terribly difficult to think of challenges that universities have got, and therefore challenges that AI could help support. So we have administrative inefficiencies that add to workload, and that probably relates in large part to the way in which corporate systems in universities have evolved over the years. There's very little interconnection between them. So we have a lot of manual processes that unfortunately occupy too much time of people that work in universities and kind of drain their energy. The Vice Chancellor at our university has a phrase that he uses about using AI to remove the joyless tasks. And that, I hope, is what we can do in the long term. Other challenges: inequitable access to services and support across different groups. And again, going back to those corporate systems, university systems, we are very data rich in universities, but unfortunately quite insight poor. So why is it key to be so human centered? Well, partly because I think universities are about people at the end of the day, and technology should be about people as well. AI should be used to enhance well-being when possible, and I hope it is possible in most cases, by kind of living the principles of ethics, equity, and empowerment. AI can, I think, create space for thought and meaningful, creative, and strategic work, and also provide people with new opportunities as well. Just to add a little bit of meat to that, to what I just said about AI and well-being and helping people. This is an example from the University of Westminster. We rolled out Microsoft Copilot 365 to 120 of our professional services colleagues, and we supported them in finding ways to engage with that technology within the context of their own work. And this is the result of a quite intensive evaluation of what happened there. And what we see from this graph is that in the majority of cases, not only was there a positive impact in terms of time on task, but also a majority of the people involved in that pilot identified a significant impact on their well-being. They felt more supported in their role. They got help with repetitive tasks. Where there are opportunities, and there are opportunities, there are also risks. I've listed some of them here. They may not be all of them. We have to be aware of algorithmic bias. We have to be aware of over-reliance on generative AI, leading to de-skilling, people not thinking enough. There are privacy and data protection concerns, and AI is that strange double-edged sword. It's got the potential to exacerbate existing inequalities. The real big message is AI is not neutral. It can do good, but it can do harm. And I think we just need to be aware of that and make sure that we have governance and design frameworks in place that limit the potential for that harm. So universities need to have strong governance structures in place, which have ethical AI principles within them. From that, they develop a sustainable roadmap for AI development. And always, we want humans in there, in the loop, all the time, both in developing the system, implementing the system, and then using the system and improving the system. If we approach the use of AI, I think in this principled way, thinking about ethics and sustainability and people, then the AI opportunities become more real, I think. So I've listed 6 here that I think are crucial. AI could help leadership in strategic decision-making, help in optimizing energy use, tackling the problem of legacy systems within university, create more accessible, inclusive services. This one's in blue because I think this is the most important one. This is about freeing staff to focus on higher value work, to give them opportunities to enjoy what they're doing more, to have that positive impact on their well-being. And in doing that, I think it will be critical for the AI tools we use to help people open up new pathways to new roles for the future and new skill development. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. Just many thanks to you all for listening, and I'll hand back to Jerome to introduce the first of our marvelous speakers, who will expand now on some of the opportunities that I highlighted there in that introduction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gunther. Gunther, if you can stop sharing your screen, then I'll start sharing mine. Now let's move on to the presentations. Well, if our audience members have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll make sure to revisit them during the Q&A at the end of the webinar. Now, moving on to the expert presentation segment, we are excited to feature 3 experts who will showcase the brilliant work that they do in applying artificial intelligence for smarter university management. Our first expert is Professor Naruhiko Shiratori from the Tokyo City University, who will share his work on predicting student dropout risk using AI. Again, join me in giving Professor Shiratori a warm virtual round of applause. Professor?
Okay, I will share the... Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and of course, good morning. Hello, and my name is Naruhiko Shiratori from Tokyo City University in Japan. I will talk about predictive analytics for student success and institutional effectiveness. So let me brief introduction myself. I am a professor at the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Science, Tokyo City University, and also I'm director of the Educational Assessment and IR Center, and my research focuses on AI and data science into education domain. So this is today's agenda, and firstly I want to talk about AI and data, and after that I will show the example of AI UMA.
Professor Shiratori, if I may interrupt you very quickly, we can see your team's application open.
Okay.
There, now it's now clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. And to use AI effectively, we need various types of data within the university. Just as humans needed food, AI needs data to provide useful insight and instruction. So, the useful AI, we need the data. And a solid data infrastructure is essential for the efficient use of AI in learning and teaching, research, and of course, management and administration in university. Without reliable data, AI cannot function effectively in these areas. AI can be applied in several areas. So, the teaching and learning is a very useful area, and research is a very, of course, is a very important area. And of course, university management and administration is a very important area. Process automation, decision support, and student success is also a very important area. So universities face many repetitive and tedious tasks, and decisions are often not data-driven. So we have a lot of the very kind of boring tasks. So AI can automate routine administrative work and support evidence-based data-driven decision-making. Key areas include translation, automation, summarizing, and support for staff and students. This is from now, I will show the example of AI in university management and administration. So our important application is predictive analytics for student success. From now, let me share how we use AI to address this challenge. This is a background. In Japan, the national dropout rate is about 2% for 1 year. So the average over 4 years is 3 to 8%. However, some colleges, some universities reporting rates as high as 30%. If you are a researcher, while 2% is considered as an exception, but the many universities face much higher rates. So we want to try this problem. At my university, we have developed an early alert system that collects student attendance data, identifies and predicts high-risk students, and sends alert to faculty and staff. So, using this early alert system, faculty member and faculty staff can get information from this system. We use AI agent built with some AI, Microsoft AI Copilot Studio, to analyze attendance data and share insights and distribute alerts. So faculty and staff can access information about their students and department using this kind of AI chat, generative AI. The AI agent can automatically send emails and post messages to Teams channels, streamlining the notification process. So, we can use AI agent and AI system for AI university management. From now, I will show the method. Our early alert system is powered by a prediction model which uses various data. So, we use data from some Tokyo University with 600 students, 249 of whom have dropped out. We use the variables. Variables include first before admission data such as gender, international status, and high school absences like that. And also, I use after admission data like GPA, credit per term, and total credit. By utilizing these variables, we can predict which students are at risk or which student is good. Our predictive model shows high accuracy, precision, and recall. You can see this number like this. You can see this number, 0.7, 0.6, like that. And this number shows over 70% dropped out students from the first spring semester can be predicted. So, it's very high and it's a very, very important number. Using this model, we calculate dropout probability for each student and in each semester, visualizing risk levels from admission through the 4th year. For example, you can see this number. Student ID 1 is started with a low risk, but increased over time and eventually dropped out. This approach allows us to quantify and track the dropout process for each student. Using this kind of number by classifying patterns according to the semester in which students dropped out, we see that some students are at risk from the beginning, while others only decline immediately before dropping out. This helps university staff understand different dropout patterns and tailor interventions. This is a diagram showing student state transition. Among the students whose state worsened in the first spring semester, only 14% returned to a normal state. And also, this graph shows the average predicted GPA for each group by week. we categorize students using predicted GPA. For example, you can see the blue line, this is the group 1. Group 1 remains stable at around 3.5 GPA, while group 9, this is a very yellow-brown line, while group 9 drops below 1 by week 2 and remains low. So, you know, before 2 weeks, we can get some predicted we can get some predicted GPA, so we can check the before worsened. You know, most groups stabilize by week 6, and we can use this information to support students more effectively. Using this kind of prediction model by automating the identification of high-risk students and notification, faculty and university staff can spend more time on direct student care. You know, using AI, we can focus on the very important task for university management, and for university staff. They can focus the time on direct student care using AI. AI use case in university management go beyond, of course, dropout prediction of the student success drop prediction, including admission, course management, process automation, and staff support. So from now, I will show some example of AI university in management. Like this one, this is some application at Muroran Institute of Technology in Hokkaido, Japan. Generative AI using this in this university, generative AI is used for job interview practice and job placement support, utilizing Copilot and Microsoft Generative AI. So this system helps the office for job interview. This is the other examples of AI in university management. First example is, of course, you know the translation. I always use this translation role, and this example is in Osaka Metropolitan University, uses flat AI for very bilingual communication. And another example is about summarizing. At Science Tokyo uses Box AI for document summarization and Q&A. And last example is about automation. Osaka Medical and Pharmaceutical University automates medical interviews and appointments. So we can get a lot of various examples. So, you know, in universities, a solid data infrastructure and data are essential for efficient use of AI in learning and teaching, research, and also university management and administration. Thank you for your attention. I hope this presentation has provided useful insight into how predictive analysis and AI can support student success and institutional effectiveness. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. That's it.
Thank you, Professor Shiratori. Just right at the nick of time when the alarm rang. Let me share my screen. Again, for our audience members, if you have any questions or comments, write them down in the chat. We will revisit your questions or comments during the Q&A segment of the webinar. Our next speaker is Laurent Kleinwerk, Global Oversight Council Chair at Euclid University. Unfortunately, Laurent couldn't join us live today, but he has kindly prepared a recorded presentation where he will discuss the use of AI agents at Euclid, and he will also offer insights on the ethical implications of these technologies. So we will be playing Laurent's video presentation shortly, and please enjoy listening to his video presentation.
Welcome to everyone joining us for this webinar. And today I will be discussing, that's the title, Ethical AI Applications in Academic and Operational Contexts. In other words, how do we think about the ethics of using AI as universities? I am Laurent Kleinwerk, the chairman of the Oversight Council at Euclid. Euclid.int is an intergovernmental university established in 2008 and serving currently 12 member states. And we do use AI quite extensively, as you will see. So why do we have to talk about AI as HEIs, meaning as universities? It's because AI truly is a revolution, and truly it is unavoidable, right? If we have to use it in a way because one, it's available, and number two, everybody else is using it, including our students. But then we won't talk about issues with students using AI to produce their assignments. We'll talk about more governance issues for universities. Let me briefly define some terms. In AI, artificial intelligence, that's really software that is able to imitate, replicate, even exceed the reasoning ability and the writing ability, the speaking abilities of human beings, of human intelligence. Right? AI agents are typically complex sequences that are programmed visually that interconnect software systems and along the way use AI to process information. It could be to create images, to edit or translate. So all of these things are absolutely part of the AI revolution. Then we have personas and replicas, right? So personas are virtual, AI-driven people, right? That appear like human beings in terms of facial features, have the voice of a human being, which can be synthetic, it can be cloned from someone else. And replicas are actually human beings who have been cloned, hopefully with their consent, and the replica looks and speaks like the human original. Right? And chatbots are really just AI-driven boxes where you can ask questions and get a reply that's typically text only. Right? Then ethics, right? Ethics, we use the word a lot. What is that? It's a study of moral principles and values that guide individual and collective behavior in determining what is right or wrong. So here on the Euclid website, euclid.int, we also have a mobile website, which is m.euclid.int. You can see in the bottom right corner that there's an AI agent from 11 Labs in this case with a human cloned voice and a set of questions and answers. So person can either call a phone number and then that will route to the AI agent, or just click on this button and talk to an agent that just sounds like a human being. It's going to, have a tone. It could be, so persona also refers to the tone, the personality of the agent. Is it going to be formal? Is it going to be kind of casual? And even the age of the voice can dictate the personality of the persona. So here, for those who want to try it at euclid.int, I actually used my voice. It's not a perfect clone. It's just a basic clone, and it can be used by visitors, and it is used quite extensively actually by visitors. Here is the simplest form of an AI agent. A lot of people use Zapier. Simply here, an agent can be used to find an email, and then to process the email with an AI tool, which is not shown here, but it is typically done, and then sends the item somewhere else. It could be monday.com, it could be Facebook, it could be all of your social media platforms. So all of this can be done with agents that interface, interact with every possible application through APIs. So a real agent would be one that includes AI processing. So here, for example, you have, every 5 hours, AI is used. Here, this ChatGPT. Here is using Grok, and you can see a chain of operations that will generate content. It could be an image, a summary, and it will eventually post that to WordPress and notify the team that this has taken place. So that relies pretty extensively on AI and two different platforms, as you can see, ChatGPT. So it's critical to disclose that. I think most people know when they're talking to an agent. But we'll talk about transparency, but to disclose it and to also give a chance to provide feedback on the use of these agents is really important. So HEIs, universities can use AI extensively today, and they do. It could be to deliver information to students. As we've seen on the website, you can click and ask questions about anything, and a well-trained agent will reply accurately to these questions. It can be used to reply to inquiries, not just by email, by intelligent email, but also by doing phone calls, and to use an AI agent to actually place the call and answer inquiries. It can be used to process applications to decide who should come on board or not. And of course, there's ethical implications to that, right? Because the AI tools are often kind of black boxes, and if you ask them to evaluate applicants, you need to know on what basis. And so AI prompting becomes extremely important to get proper and ethical processing applications, for example, through AI. There's the ethical concern, of course, of not just supporting admin staff, but replacing admin staff, and to what extent is AI able to reduce, right, the need for human beings becomes a real ethical concern. Perhaps even more concerning for universities, or rather for faculty members, for professors, is the ability of AI to deliver not just formal lectures, but also to become a knowledge base that can interact with students in real time on the basis of an entire set of knowledge, right? You can feed textbooks into a particular agent, and with consent, you could use the voice and the appearance of a professor, right? If he or she would agree to this, which I think is obviously both an ethical concern and a legal concern. Or it's possible to use what are called stock or generic or virtual appearances to have these kinds of lectures and videos. For example, here at Euclid, we are using a stock persona to deliver a presentation to incoming faculty members. I'm not going to play it for you, but it definitely sounds excellent. It's a generic voice and generic face, so to speak. But there's ethical questions. Do we use a man or a woman? Do we use here a Caucasian, fairly young male? What about the outfit? So there's choices that have to be made as to who is going to be on this video, and is it going to change depending on who is coming in? And you can see here the necessity to have a disclosure statement that this video is produced by AI. You can see here the use of personas, AI personas, using a particular platform. There's many of them. There's, of course, ethical considerations as well as legal considerations. And it's really tempting to confuse the two, but ethics has to engage culture and religion, and that can vary across continents, across countries, and even within a particular situation. My apologies. So there's definitely concerns with regards to the use of AI generated voices, right? Versus captured voices of human beings. Now, there's, is it ethical to use a famous voice or not? I think it is not. Is it illegal to use a famous voice? It might be legal in some jurisdictions, right? Same with AI personas, right? Are we going to use stock personas, replicas? To what extent do universities put pressure on professors to accept to become cloned and virtualized? That becomes an ethical concern, right? And if permission is granted by someone to be cloned into an AI persona, then what is the scope of allowed use, duration and time in terms of subject matter, right? But you can see here we can use AI to generate training videos, courses, and AI is used extensively. So it is so important to disclose the use of AI, to have an ethical review board. Now, often so-called ERBs or IERBs don't feel equipped to deal with AI issues because they deal with typical clinical health issues. But there has to be a board, an ethical review board that is going to provide clearance, guidance, and of course, with legal counsel, allow for responsible deployment. And that I think includes feedback from stakeholders and users. Hence the need to have monitoring and governance when deploying AI systems. In conclusion, AI, as we all know, is unavoidable. It's everywhere. It is truly a revolution. AI is becoming very, very good and surpassing, I just read yesterday, human intelligence, at least that is the claim. It is ethically and legally very complex to do so. And we can't confuse the technological aspect, right? What is possible with technology? What is ethically right or wrong, or wise or unwise, right? And then also what is legally allowed in one's jurisdiction. I think a final thought is there's a danger that, countries with enormous resources in the United States, Western Europe, Asia, the so-called OECD countries and their institutions will be able to take the lead and use AI enormously to their advantage. There's a concern, moral and ethical, that less developed countries, the global south, as we call it, that their institutions will not be able to use AI as much. And so you can see the power of AI, the transformation taking place in universities, and hopefully this was a helpful presentation, and I'm happy to yield the floor to the next presenter. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Laurent. And now, last but definitely not the least, we are happy to have Professor Atsufumi Yokoi, Vice President for Global Engagement at Okayama University and UNESCO Chair in Research and Education for Sustainable Development, to discuss policy frameworks on AI and education. Professor Yokoi, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
And how about my slide?
If you could do the slideshow.
Sure. Okay,
Perfect.
it works. Thank you. Okay, it's a great honor to speak today on the theme driving university-wide sustainability with the help of AI. So once again, I'm Atsufumi Yokoi, Vice President for Global Engagement at Okayama University in Japan, and UNESCO Chair in Research Education for Sustainable Development. So as Vice President, I have experienced a wide range of hands-on experiences in terms of university management, including sustainability and AI. So I also serve as a member of the UN Health Action Group on the future of higher education and AI, and as director of subcommittee on sustainable campus at the United Nations University SDG University platform, among other roles in UN agencies and so on. So Okayama University very quickly was recognized in 2007 as Asia's pioneering UNESCO chair in education for sustainable development, ESD. Subsequently, the Okayama region was approved by the United Nations University as a very world's first regional center of expertise called RCE on ESD. So our collective efforts have been honored with the UNESCO Japan Prize on ESD in 2016, the UNESCO Learning City Award in 2017, and Special Prize of the first Japan SDG Award in 2017. So today, in my capacity as UNESCO Chair, I'd like to share with you all here how I view the intersection of AI, higher education, and sustainable development. So through the lens of the UN global policy frameworks on ethics, equity, and cultural justice. I will also highlight good practices from Africa, Japan, and the United States. Well, since I believe our participants here have different levels of knowledge about AI through the lens of sustainable development, so I try to keep my explanation as clear and easy to understand for all of you as possible today. But let us begin with this slide, the global landscape from UNESCO. So as you might know, UNESCO has been at the forefront of promoting ethical and inclusive AI. So as you can see clearly, three key frameworks guide our collective efforts as follows. Number one, in 2021 recommendation on the ethics of AI. So which is the very first global standard placing human rights and human dignity at the center of AI governance. Number two, 2023 guidance for generative AI in education and research, addressing both the opportunities and risks of generative AI in learning and research. And last one is in 2024, AI competency frameworks for students and teachers, supporting AI literacy and helping educators use AI ethically and inclusively. But despite this progress, actually a 2023 UNESCO survey revealed that only 10% of universities worldwide have established frameworks for the responsible use of AI. So this represents not only a challenge, but also I would say a tremendous opportunity. So I strongly believe that universities play a pivotal role in shaping AI's trajectory, ensuring that it promotes not only efficiency, but also equity, ethics, and cultural justice in alignment with sustainability principles. All right, from UNESCO's ongoing work, so I'd like to emphasize three key takeaways as follows. Number one, locally rooted AI, youth-led innovation, and last one is campus as a test bed. Okay, first of all, on locally rooted AI, so UNESCO reminds us that AI is not culturally neutral. Most tools are developed in the global north, often embedding hidden assumptions. So this is not merely a technical matter. It is a question of digital sovereignty and cultural justice. So as we integrate AI, we must safeguard, first of all, cultural identity and avoid digital neocolonialism, digital neocolonization. A promising example comes from Africa, as you can see clearly here, Masakane, meaning we build together in Zulu, is a participatory research project developing AI for African languages for Africans by Africans. So although 2,000 of the world's languages are African, they remain underrepresented in technology and AI. Since 2019, more than 400 African university researchers have collaborated publishing research on 38 plus languages and building a vibrant community. Through the UNESCO Priority Africa operational strategy and the Unitwin UNESCO Chairs network like us, so UNESCO Chair Universities support universities in Africa in building capacity and advancing knowledge, ensuring locally rooted AI serves sustainable development in Africa. So this work underscores the role of higher education institutions as catalyst of transformation, promoting digital sovereignty and cultural justice for Africans by Africans. So in this spirit, UNCTAD and our university, Okayama University, co-launched the Young Female Scientist Program in developing countries in 2020, spanning Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America and Caribbean. So like AI, innovation itself is not culturally neutral and has historically been shaped by male scientists from developed countries. So our program seeks to close gender gap and technology gaps by nurturing young female scientific talent in developing regions. So now let me turn to our experience in Japan at Okayama University. As Asia's pioneering UNESCO chair in ESD, so Okayama University bears a responsibility to connect education, research, and sustainability. So we have established a university-wide AI data science education promotion office, introduced a compulsory AI literacy course for all first-year students, and issued ethical guidelines in 2023 for generative AI, emphasizing academic integrity, critical thinking, and responsible use. But here, I'd like to highlight two initiatives standing out. Number one, CYPHER, actually called Cyber Physical Research Promotion Division in a university-wide level, which means a cross-disciplinary hub in a university-wide, fostering collaboration across faculties and local industries, applying AI for societal problem solving. And number two, a data science student club. This is a student-driven community of over 150 members, which has produced award-winning startups, such as Ababa, which is very famous in Japan right now, an AI-powered employability platform now preparing for IPO. Actually, from my level, it is a great, exciting college venture project. But these examples demonstrate how top-down policy and bottom-up innovation from students can co-create a responsible and inclusive AI ecosystem in higher education. Lastly, let me highlight a whole institution approach from the United States, the MIT Campus as a Test-Bed project. Dr. Julie Newman, Director of Sustainability at MIT, founded the MIT Office of Sustainability called MITOS in 2013, after pioneering Yale University's Office of Sustainability in 2004. As a visiting scholar at MIT, I had been excited to collaborate with her on this initiative. In fact, in April 2025, we delivered a joint presentation at the UN Commission on Science and Technology for Development CSTD 28th session in Geneva. And Dr. Newman envisions MIT as a replica model for just equitable and scalable sustainability solutions by harnessing campus as a test bed. And a key feature is Data Pool project, which means MIT's sustainability data portal that streamlines access, tracks performance, and empowers decision makers. And since 2016, MIT OS Distribution Data Pool has been a collaborative project together with a data scientist and senior communication specialist that provides the MIT community to campus sustainability data and visualization. And supported by real-time data, the data pool empowers MIT community members by giving them the data to understand current performance and inform innovative, sustainable solutions and ideas. Since 2024, MIT OS has supported the testbed effort that included piloting AI in building controls to reduce energy use, heat data collection to inform resiliency planning, testing of plant-based local options in dining halls, and utilization of sustainable materials, and signage in spaces across campus. By treating the campus as a testbed living laboratory, MIT invites its community to co-create transformative solutions to global challenges. To closing, so let me close with a reflection from Stefania Giannini, UNESCO's Assistant Director General for Education. AI, like fire, holds the power to transform, but also to destroy if mishandled. So let us harness AI not to replace human wisdom, but to enrich it, to strengthen communities, preserve cultures, and advance a sustainable and just future for all well-being of all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Yokoi. You see a lot of virtual hand claps for your presentation. We've now reached the final segment of today's webinar called Idea Exchange. This is your opportunity to ask questions and share your thoughts based on the presentations we've just seen. I would like to invite again Professor Gunther Sonders to moderate the discussion. We will address some of the questions you have raised in the chat, but if you have any other questions or comments, please send them in right now as well. If we could spotlight our three speakers, that would be great. And I will give the floor now to Professor Sonders to lead this interactive exchange.
Thank you very much, Jerome, and thank you very much, Atsufumi and Naruhiko, and of course, Laurent for their wonderful presentations. Thank you. I'm just going to start by asking if Grace Thompson in the audience has posted a question about a case on AI grading systems. Grace, if you're there and would like to ask the question, open your mic and please ask it, rather than me reading it.
I was making reference to the case that we all know happened around 2020, when it was a good purpose, right? The UK qualification board was using AI tools to try to predict scores, given that given the impossibility of, in some cases, doing the standardized exams, but that really resulted in a very undesired result. They had to revert course. So similar cases may happen. So my question to the speakers were, what would be your recommendations to determine or to require vendors of these systems, so will come to our schools to tell us that we can do these, to secure that they are explainable that they are not black boxes, that someone is overseeing the algorithms that are in there, and that educators, the faculty councils, are able to have a voice in deciding whether these systems are going to be used instead of the traditional ways of assigning scores. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Could I ask maybe Atsufumi, would you like to address that question or start to address that question?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. Maybe first of all, Shiratori-san can answer this kind of question.
Okay, Narihiko?
Hi. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And the using data, so using data, we can select some AI vendors and AI tools for university management, for university staff. So could you give some more information about what you say?
Yes, what I was saying is that because these decisions impact the students, before a school, a university decides to go into adopting the systems, there has to be some precautions, right? Some voice of the experts, educators to say, maybe this application, we shouldn't be using AI, which is what happened in 2020 when algorithms were unsupervised and ended up decreasing the scores of students who were going to take a standardized exam.
Standardized exam. Okay, I got it. And so I that for university management, mainly I don't take care the some exam, but firstly we have to make some information from data and using AI and for some exam and so on.
Maybe I could add something that has just occurred to me. So, Grace, at the university I work at, we generally select suppliers of systems that have a very clear set of statements about the way in which they approach what they offer to you in an ethical way. Okay, so I think that's the first thing. For me, you work with suppliers that have a trustworthy approach to AI. You then need to decide whether you trust them. Okay, one hopes that suppliers, particularly well-known suppliers, if they say they're going to stick to a certain set of principles when they establish the systems that do what you want them to do, you would hope they would stick to that. So that's one important thing. I think the other thing I would say is that it is, for me, and in the context I work in, where users, and I use the term user broadly, so students, faculty, where users need to be brought in is when you are proposing to implement a solution. Okay, so that's the opportunity for faculty and students to input into, is this a good idea or not? Now, part of that, is it a good idea, is the explainability that I think you mentioned in your written question. It's the explainability. I'm not a technical expert, so but I do know that there are systems which I would classify as computer programs. In the back of my mind, one of them is called Lime, but that perhaps that's irrelevant. It's called Lime. It sits on top of the predictive model, and it actually does tests on the predictive model, and the testing it does can output explainable to humans how the model arrived at a specific output. So why did it predict that student was going to get a B or an A plus or was going to get 55. It can help to explain that. Probably also from what I know, speaking to other experts, including people like Naruhiko and Atsufumi, none of these things are perfect. So, but one has to do the best one can to explain to people, this is what we're going to do, right? And this is why we're going to do it. And this is how the AI is going to work on it. And this is how it comes out with its decision at the other end. Does that kind of help?
Can I add
Yes.
something, of course,
Yeah.
for Grace, if I may? So, as based on my experience as vice president, first of all, university can begin by aligning, well, their institutional policies with the principle of the recommendation in line with, for example, UNESCO guideline, and such as human rights, fairness, and transparency, trustworthy are definitely very much important rather than trust, you know. And this includes establishing AI, well, ethics guidelines, well, integrating AI literacy into all programs, and creating oversight committees, for example, to review AI use in education and research as well. But actually, key challenges actually include limited expertise in AI ethics in universities, in my university as well. So lack of resources for implementation and the very fast pace of technological change at the same time. So in other words, cross-sector collaboration and capacity building are essential part to overcome such a kind of things. So yeah, that's my comment from my hands-on experience as vice president.
Thank you, Atsu. And I would agree with you. I think it's really important that as institutions have their own set of governance processes that they've got in place to monitor and approve what they plan to do and how they plan to do it. But none of it, as I said, is perfect, because actually many of us are learning as we're going along. Many institutions are learning, how do we manage this explosion of this new technology safely and effectively? Before I let you go, Grace, I just wanted to pick up a comment I think you made in the chat, which was interesting to me. You said something in education, the use of a human rights lens should prevail, and then you added AI adoption is not inevitable per se. Educators have choices, and whilst I don't disagree with you, completely disagree with you, I would urge all academic colleagues to think about whether the choice is not to use or to use AI, or is the choice now more about how you use AI? I think it's possibly more about how you use AI, and in carefully calculating how you use AI, ensuring that you're using AI in a safe, ethical way that is intended to benefit your students, and you can explain to students exactly how the AI can benefit them. So I do slightly disagree with you, but I can see where you're coming from. All right. I don't know whether you want to add anything or no? All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that you're right. We're talking about a continuum, right? So there are types of applications that may be low risk, but in some others that are high risk. I think that
Absolutely.
all educators have the ability to say, perhaps no. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I absolutely agree with you. I think we all agree with you. Okay, moving on. Junhui, I think you had a question, didn't you, for Naruhiko? Is Naruhiko still with us, Jerome?
Unfortunately, something must have happened with Naruhiko's Zoom account, so I cannot find him in the Zoom room right now. I think we can skip to my question, and let's wait a little bit until Naruhiko comes back, and I'll just direct it. Yes,
John. Yeah, Naruhiko, since it just answered nicely in the chat anyways, so we can move on to the next question.
Okay. Yes. He did respond to Jongwi's question directly via chat. But my question to Gunther, because since since AI has been really popular in the last 2-3 years, especially since the advent of the accessibility of ChatGPT, we've always talked about the concern of AI potentially replacing human labor. And I know the work that you do at the University of Westminster. You are the head of digital capacity, digital development capacity, and AI leadership in your institution. I was wondering, since implementing several AI tools and different AI systems, particularly for university management and administrative functions, has there been any significant displacement of workers at your institution?
Thank you for the question. It's an interesting question. The short answer, Jerome, is no, there hasn't been as yet. But if I was completely open and honest and speak about my personal feelings, projecting ahead 2, 3, 4 years, then I would suspect that one will begin to see certain jobs displaced. I'm not saying Westminster, I don't think Westminster is the only university that is approaching it in this way, but a good way to approach this is to start from the perspective that the majority of colleagues in universities have too much work to do. So freeing up, some of their time isn't really freeing up some of their time. It's actually helping them to actually cope with the pressures of working in the university sector. And those pressures are huge, enormous, right? So ultimately, having said that, so I don't see in the short term job displacement happening. Ultimately, though, there may come a time when job displacement will appear. There's lots of forecasts of this. It is already happening in other sectors across the world. But for me, a kind of a chink of light at the end of the tunnel is that we're already beginning to see new roles emerging. Okay, now a couple of years ago, or maybe 18 months ago, everybody was talking about the role of prompt engineers. That's faded somewhat because prompt engineering isn't probably as important as it used to be. But in my local context, we can already see the need for what I would describe as citizen developers. So if you have a department and they're all doing their daily work and they're overworked and they've got lots of emails coming in and they've got lots of forms to fill out, people to phone, if you can actually alleviate some of that burden with AI, you've somehow got to support that. So somebody's got to help them use AI to alleviate their burden. The best way for that to happen is for somebody in that department to actually become a citizen developer and know enough about how to use the technologies to make AI agents or use other simple automating procedures that can help the other people in the department. So already we're beginning to see, I think, new roles emerging in departments. It's not about being a technologist. It's not about being a super technical type person. It's about knowing enough and a bit more than the others do about how to build and create useful AI tools that can help the rest of the people in department do their work. So, sorry, probably it was a longer answer than I intended, but it's an important one because it's important that people do not get too scared at this stage anyway about the fact that job displacement might happen. History tells us that whenever there's been such a big technological advance as this, new jobs get created, and I think that's going to happen here as well.
Thank you for that, Gunther.
Can I add something for
Yes,
this question?
go ahead.
So
Yeah.
definitely, key phrase is really lifelong learning. So which is very important for students, also for higher education institutions, because we need to reskill and upskill. And because hybrid workflow is very important because AI really promote efficiency, while really human beings will respond to the final call. make more synergetic. So in other words, we really make a hybrid model between AI efficiency and also human-centered approach, leadership and empathy, and so on and so forth. How to make a synergetic impact between AI efficiency and human-centered approach. And also, as Gunther mentioned, we need more brand new style of workforce. So supporting AI efficiency and also ethical part. But more importantly, we need more creativity, leadership, empathy, and also complex problem solving together with AI efficiency. So, but anyway, a lifelong learning is very much important. Actually, from my university, for example, in the medical science school, we really promote lifelong learning for already alumni of Oakland University, doctor, to upskill and to reskill. But anyway, I must stop here. So I really totally agree with Gunther's opinion, and also lifelong learning is more important than ever before. Yes, thank you very much.
Junwei.
Just to add what Yokoi-sensei just mentioned, and also Professor Saunders mentioned about this new skills needed and then reskilling and upskilling. I just want to know, in your universities, respectively, you have any kind of concrete programs for the lifelong learning of the staff members on developing their kind of AI literacy or skills related to how to use AI in a more productive way for their teaching or management?
Yeah, Atsu, do you want to go first on that, or do you want me to go first on that? Don't mind.
After you, Gunther.
Okay. Again, the short answer, and then I'll go on and take a longer answer probably. But the short answer is yes, we do. We have programs for our colleagues and for our students as well, which are designed to give them the basics of AI literacy. And we have, crucially, a compulsory course for our colleagues, which is around AI ethics. Okay. But I would say we could probably do more. It is incredibly difficult to engage colleagues in I think it's a common thing. If you make something compulsory, it doesn't always get done. It's better, I think, for the individual communities to be helped down a path where they want to learn more. So I hope one of the things we'll be seeing more in the future, and it's beginning to happen in some of the schools in my university, what I'm hoping to see is that the schools themselves will develop their own kind of subject contextualized approaches to being AI literate, because there's two elements to AI literacy. There's the basic generic stuff that everybody needs to know, but then there's the nuanced, right? The nuanced stuff that will be different for social sciences versus life sciences versus computer science. So, yeah, we've got progress in that area of developing AI literacy, but there's more to be done, especially to get it contextualized within different subject areas.
Okay, from my university. So, Okayama University, first of all, was established as medical school science school in about 1860. So that is why actually society needs more well-being and health science. So that is why we need to respond to such a kind of needs from the civil society and citizen. So that is why, for example, Okayama University started to embed AI module into the medical curriculum. And beyond undergraduate and graduate students, Okayama University also provides alumni-focused AI education, supporting lifelong learning for healthcare professionals. As I noticed, for example, as vice president, as a graduate school of medicine, dentistry and pharmaceutical sciences. And Okayama University has established both a medical AI applied course and an intensive course to cultivate highly specialized professionals who can apply AI directly in clinical practice, actually. So these programs are well designed for doctoral students and working professionals in particular, offering a systematic curriculum that spans from AI theory and data science foundations to advanced applications in diagnosis and treatment in practice. So that is one of the examples from my university.
Thank you, Atsu. Naruhiko, welcome back. We're just answering a question about how our respective universities deal with developing our colleagues' AI literacy. Would you be able to say anything that happens at your university?
Yeah, in my university, in order to support AI, in order to support staff and faculty member, I will get using AI agent and get information and collect the data and to get some very important information to the staff and faculty member. So it is a very good example for my university. So the collecting data and getting the information and to send this kind of to send and share the information using AI.
Okay. Thank you, Naruhiko. I'm getting a message from Jerome that we are at the end time. Is that right, Jerome?
So, yes, unfortunately, we're running out of time. So we'll end the interactive exchange here, and I will now move on to the action group initiatives. This is the last part of our webinar for today. Let me just share my screen. There you go. So thank you once again to all the three speakers for an engaging discussion and some of our audience members as well for joining in. Before we wrap up, I'd like to take a moment to share a bit of work, a bit about the work of the Action Group, which includes organizing this webinar series. Our Action Group on the futures of higher education and AI was launched last year at the HESI session at the UN High-Level Political Forum. And the mission of the Action Group is to explore how AI is impacting higher education through the lens of sustainability. The sustainability dimension is often overlooked in discussions about AI, and our goal is to examine how AI adoption in higher education aligns with the principles of equity, of responsibility, and long-term impact. I'm now trying to move to the next slide. And sorry, just 1 second. Okay. And through the help of our partners across regions, we've developed and we are developing a wide range of knowledge products, including this AI Learning Lab webinar series. But beyond webinars, we're also working on policy case studies. We are actively organizing sessions at AI conferences and UN events. And in addition, we have a podcast called The AI and Sustainability, where we bring together AI experts, users, practitioners, even students for honest conversations about their experiences of using AI. This is, in fact, Professor Saunders was one of our guests with Doug Specht, another brilliant professor from the University of Westminster, where they discussed human-centered approaches to university management and administration. This is just a snippet of their episode. Their episode is about 25 minutes, and this is about 25, 30-second snippet of their episode. All of these are available on the UNU website. And last month, we've launched a global survey to better understand how universities are adapting AI in different fields, in different applications in education, such as teaching, research, and administration. The result of this survey will provide evidence on how AI is actually being used on campuses worldwide. So we will use the findings to develop institutional guidance for the ethical and inclusive use of AI in higher education. The survey takes only about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. And if your university is interested in participating, we will be sharing the link in the chat box below. Your input will make a real difference in shaping responsible AI practices in higher education globally by answering this survey. And if you're interested in becoming a partner of the Action Group, or if you want to learn anything more about the activities that we do, for example, the Global Mapping Survey, feel free to reach out to us at hesi.unu.unu.edu. And lastly, if you could spare 1 minute of your time, 1 minute of your time to answer a feedback survey, that would be greatly appreciated. You can either scan the QR code displayed on the screen. We've also dropped the link on the chat. If you can see, it will come out soon. But that's the end of our webinar for today. On behalf of the Futures of Higher Education and AI Action Group, and the organizing team at the United Nations University, thank you once again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Until then, have a wonderful day, and wherever you are in the world, take care. Thank you very much.